Properties in Abuja always go up in price. And we are going to be talking about what are the factors that makes these properties go up. By so doing and by so learning these factors, you will be aware of what is happening, because if you don't understand the reasons why properties, especially in Abuja, always increases in price, you constantly buy properties very expensive all the time. By the end of this video, we are going to help you understand how to know how those prices in property increases, and most especially for you to recognize it and join in early on time before the prices go up. So you think of a location. What are the things that makes the location solid? What are the things that make this location going to develop in few months or few years time? Then when you understand these factors, so that I don't let out the cat, all of them in the bag right now, you would be clear enough when to invest in a location, rather than when the prices would have increased so much and you realize that I bought this property late. How do you avoid it?
Right. So I want you to think of any location in your mind. I believe we've seen some of these things, but maybe we've not paid attention to it. Now, maybe there's this piece of land close to your house,
Okay.
where you lived some time ago, and you're wondering who owns this piece of land. And not just the piece of land, you see that the whole vast area is just bush. Maybe it's just an access road that leads directly to your house. And over time, you see one residence to another, one house to another begins to pop up gradually. Before you know, that place that used to be like bush no longer is
Looks like
bush,
it.
and then there's good accessibility, good roads and all of that. So the first thing I'm going to be looking at, or one of the signs you should look out for, is population influx. Now, when people begin to move into a particular area, money flows to that place, especially when it comes to real estate investment. How? That empty land you're seeing there, before you know it, whoever owns that land sells that land, and people build on that land. And before you know, every other place there, is becomes habitable, right?
Exactly.
So the biggest trigger for growth is human movement. Let's say human development. Human movement. So the more people start going into a place, living there, working there, visiting, the demand for that place quietly begins to build. That is why you hear people say that, I cannot afford the city. Don't you have places that are close to the city
Exactly.
that are
They
cheap?
understand. Exactly.
Now, when they ask those kind of questions, especially when they emphasize that are cheap, what they are saying is they are looking for places that are less developed, places that development is just beginning in that area. They believe those kind of places are relatively cheap, and they are not far from the truth, right?
Yeah.
That is why they ask for places like that. And then suddenly the road or the place that used to be empty becomes, busy. You see markets, you see shops, because of the influx of
People.
human beings that are there already. Transportation, of course,
Yes.
becomes easier, because some of those places getting there is usually hard.
Very
Maybe you'll
difficult.
not even be able to go there with a car. You have to pick a bike
Bike.
and get there. But
Exactly.
over time, you realize that there's good access road, and then commute time is cut short, and before you know, people start asking, I want to live here, and just like that,
It's not bad enough.
just like that,
Exactly.
these places suddenly become, very, very improved and contested today when it comes to real estate. And that's how the value of property and prices in that area begins to, grow gradually.
All right. So the second thing we're going to talk about is access, right? Remembering that we're talking about the factors that makes the prices of a property increase.
Yeah.
So the second one is access. So like you already said, accessibility. A lot of times when you see that property, one person is building, people are just waiting. Have somebody started building?
Yeah.
And when one person has, another person joins,
Joins.
and before you know it, the place becomes filled up. And that is a reason or a way for you to know that this location is going to develop very fast. I would always say that investment or real estate investment is a great factor on how you grow your wealth, whether we like it or not, or whether you want to accept it or not, is one way. There are other ways, but this is one way how you can grow your wealth, knowing that you want to do it the best way, the right way. Okay, so sometimes when you see a road or when you see a newly constructed road, is one way for you to either go there very fast and start looking for properties to buy, because roads or accessibility to roads is one way that people can actually start living in a location, because they want to, wherever they're coming from, have access to that location.
It makes life easy.
You don't want a situation where you have to trek to or stress yourself. If you don't have a car, it will be very difficult for you. So when a road is constructed towards a location, boom, that location also becomes very ready for people for the place to increase in price.
Now, another sign that increases the price of property is when structure appears, right? So when development, comes up in a place, the confidence of buying from that place increases.
Exactly.
So when you go to buy a property and you look at the area and you see that maybe there's an individual who owns a mini mart, or maybe this person owns like an estate, in that area. Maybe that's the only structure you're seeing there. Or maybe there's a road infrastructure that is being constructed, any form of development at all, any form of structure,
building, exactly,
that you can visibly see, adds value to it. And then it also reduces the risks. So when people see empty land, the first thing, the way our brain is programmed, the first thing that comes to your mind is risks. Before you start thinking, but wait, what else can I see here? So you look out for development in those places, the early signs of development, the signals that will show you, are you seeing any form of, structure there? Are there schools? Are there markets? Are there commercial spaces there? But once structure begins to appear, the hesitation to buy reduces. And of course, if you buy at that time, you start to gain more. Because by the time everything is, has come into full circle in that particular place, it adds value to any property you find in that location. So sometimes you're wondering, this property was selling for 5 million. Why is it now suddenly 10 million naira? But when you go to that area, you realize that you don't even have to ask that question. You can visibly see why it has moved from 5 million to 10 million.
Exactly.
So recently, we had a property that the price appreciated. And then I told someone about it, and the person already owns a plot in that estate. And the person goes, why is it becoming so expensive? Right?
Is he not supposed to be happy?
I was wondering. He just asked that question, but wait, why is it becoming so expensive? And I simply sent them a video I made. And then the person realized that from when they bought to when I sent the video, development has, commenced on that land.
Exactly.
And that is why the value increased. Okay, so one of the things that adds or makes the prices of a property appreciate is development that is coming up around that area, structures that are coming up around that area, around that land.
All right. So the next thing or the next factor I'm going to talk about is the government presence. We can't talk about anything without talking about it. Sometimes that factor is one way a lot of price increase. For example, they tell you that maybe recently ECOWAS came to a location.
Yeah.
All right. What happens in that location is that the prices of houses in that location will definitely increase.
From rent
to
everything.
Even short-let apartments around there. So when a government presence in any manner, in any form, whether ministry, whether hospital, whether church, whether mosque comes to a location, it definitely increases the price of that location. So that's one way you also know about it. Then the next thing I'm going to talk about before we start rounding up is property prices don't just rise because people talk about it.
Yeah.
We are not doing these videos because we do not know what else to talk about. We are doing it because it's happening every single day. And people always will say, oh, I knew when this property was this amount, why didn't I buy? Okay, they rise because the places become easier to access, more active, more trusted representatives or buyers there. There more demand. People will just start thinking, because that place is new and I don't have anything there, please, I want to buy there. All right. So people start asking for that particular location. It's happening currently in Abuja.
Yeah.
There are locations that people are talking about. Check the news. Maybe the government presence is doing a major development there. People start asking for properties around there. That's how it happens. So Apuwasa is one of them. All right. People are looking for properties in that axis. So when things like this align, prices just increase. And sometimes, like she just said, people will not be wondering, why is this place so expensive? Why is it becoming expensive?
Yeah.
Those are the factors. All right.
So
yeah.
in order not for you to ask this very question that someone asked, why are the prices very increasing? Let me just talk a bit about Abuja. You're seeing Abuja now, and maybe you're hesitating to invest in Abuja. There's something you should understand. Aside the fact that it is where decisions are made, it is where we have government presence, it is where a lot of things are happening. Currently in Abuja, there's a lot of development that is going on in different locations, both from the government and individuals. So there are some people who own properties in some locations and they are massively developing their properties, while there are some other areas where you can see that the government has partnered with, people, and they're bringing one or two developments in that area. So because of this, the prices of properties in Abuja generally is growing. I'm using the word growing so you understand that we're heading somewhere. It is growing. And when it comes to investing, like we always say, that there is no better time to invest than that very moment when you realize that it is good for you to invest, right? And the earlier you jump into the market, the better for you. Now, for a national market that is continuously growing, just know that in a couple of years, right now you can still find properties used around let's say 6 million, 7 million, 10 million. In a couple of years, let's just give it 2 to 3 years. Maybe the least amount you'll be able to get a property even at the outskirts of Abuja will be, from 10 million naira upwards. So we're talking about areas that are coming up where properties are, very, very affordable. We have two of those places. One is around Kabusa area, Kishiri to Kabusa, and we have a property there currently going for 5.8 million naira. And then we have one in Apuwasa, like she mentioned already, and development is growing towards these two areas massively, right? And this one is currently selling at the price of 7 million naira. So this is an opportunity for you if you'd want to, join the landlords in Abuja. If you want to own a plot of land in Abuja or you want to own a house in Abuja, it is an opportunity for you to make up your mind and take action immediately.
All right. Thank you for that. So she had said it all. In order for us to conclude, and apart from concluding, we've talked about this and we have an opportunity for you. If you have need of any of the properties in this location, or you want a location that will constantly increase in price, there's a number in the description box. You can reach on to us and we'll help you get started in investing in Abuja. See you in our next video, and thank you for standing by us. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.